Peaceful is feeling, is a feel more of a feeling for me. It's comfort or it's comfortable. Peace is comfortable.
Mm.
Um, and it's not governed by physical circumstances completely. You can have physical comfort and not have internal comfort. That's
Mm.
not peaceful.
Mm.
But you can have internal comfort and not have external physical comfort and still have peace. Peace is a sense of acceptance for me, and also a sense of non finality. This too shall pass comes to mind.
Right. It's like something else always replaces it.
Can you repeat that? I don't know if your sound is too close or too far from the mic for me to hear it, or it's my speaker.
I'm sorry, I forgot what I said.
So I apologize.
But was that better?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
What is peace for you, Hines?
Mm, good question. I often find it in the silence.
Mm.
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 Welcome, Annette.
Morning,
Good
Annette.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Annette.
I hope everybody's having a good morning so far.
I hope
Yep.
you are.
Still waking up. I've been up for 2 hours and I'm still waking up.
Has it been peaceful?
Yes and no.
Do you want it to be?
Not too well, yes and no. There's a there's always new things. Today's just new things and I thought,
Mm.
oh, I need a break. I need a break.
Mhm.
So
New things, yes.
yes.
Hi, G.
Hi, Chi.
Mm.
Ooh, nice.
Good
Hello,
morning and
Chi.
hi.
Hello,
Hi.
Chi.
Hello. Good morning and hi and hello to everyone.
Hi, Chi.
Welcome to Peace.
Nice.
Annette, I'm curious. You say you could use a break. What would a break look like from
From what, okay, so for today, for me, a break is just time just to sit down and just be with me. Um, Something for me.
Mm.
mm,
I've yeah, working with my puppers. You'll hear the dog toy squeak in the background. So I have a very active 1 year old. Um, the other one went outside. He's out front. There's the Friday morning stuff, getting the recycling ready to be put out. They're finishing up some construction. They're laying sod across the street, so the big trucks are there and blocking the driveway, which I don't care unless I have to go away. Um, but it's just a disturbance to the enjoyable norms that I have in the morning. So it's like, okay, I need to create some sort of enjoyable norm.
Hmm. Is it possible? An enjoyable norm.
I'm certainly trying.
Hmm. Well, it's possible to be frustrated and angry with it all the time.
Yeah, I'm not angry with it. I'm just tired of listening to it because it's been going on for 4.5 years.
Hmm.
And now the
Oh,
last house has been built. So, because it was a large bush lot that they cut down at the beginning of COVID. So that's when it started. And they put condo type duplexes along one side. Originally, they were going to put two apartment buildings in there, and there's no apartments in this area, so that was a dead no from all the neighbors. Anyways, and so they've done that on one part of the bush lot. On my street, on my part of the bush lot, they put in. It was originally zoned for 4 homes and was rezoned to put 5 in. So we've had 5 homes going up one after the other after the other. It's been constant construction, constant mess. There's never a break. As soon as
Mm.
one is like 3/4 done, they start working the ground on the next one. And
Mhm.
it's been constant. So it's like, okay, now the sod's going in on the last house.
Mhm.
The appliances arrived this week. So we know it's almost done. And it's like, okay, just like, I know it's been 4.5 years. It's like, what does it have to
oh.
be one more day though? Does it really have to be one more day? So,
Well, tomorrow and the day after, you'll have a break from it.
yes, yes.
And it will never be back to normal, will it? That
No,
that land. Well,
no.
you know what I
That's,
mean.
yeah, that's the sad thing about it because this bush lot was considerable size and they cut it all down. Um, and it has changed the winds on our home.
Oh,
We've had a fence blow down, um, and there's another fence along the back side that's being pressured with winds. All my neighbors have new fences up too because of the same issue. We have damage on the house because of the strong winds suddenly are there. It's more susceptible to, flying objects too. If we have strong winds off the lake and then there's, it picks up stuff. Um, it's the neighbors had to have a tree cut down because of the strong winds pushed a large pine tree over. So I guess, but that's part of living right on the lake too. But anyways, it's adapting to a new environment, and it's one that we didn't create. Somebody else created it.
mm.
So
Yeah, they came into it, didn't they?
yeah, yeah. We have awnings over the front of our home, and the winds have really taken a beating on them. So it's becomes costly and pretty nice. Now that the last home is up, it's going to change the winds again and how the snow is deposited on the road and in the driveways and all that too. So, because that does make a difference too. Last year, I
Mm.
didn't have as much snow in my driveway, which was the first time in all the years that we've been here. We've been here for 28 years. And we've always get piles. When the bush lot was there, it was huge drifts at the bottom of our driveway. And then when the bush was cut down, that big drift was moved all the way up my
To
driveway.
the house, yeah,
Yeah.
to the front
And then,
porch.
yeah. And then as different buildings were put in every winter, the snow has drifted differently. So last year was the first year that I didn't have the volume of snow in my driveway as I normally do. It was one over. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting with this last house, how the winds and the snow will drift differently.
Nice. I like think about peaceful. It's like it's like to view it as it is. That's what peaceful for me is. Just to see it as it is. Now, that is so, that's not as easy as it sounds. Because we have like what it is, or really what it could be. Right? What could this? And then what I mean by this is a situation, a circumstance. Building houses across the street. Right? It's like whatever situation I'm bringing in the forefront or focusing on. If I can look at it for what it is rather than what I make it to be. Because for what it is, I attached my values and importance to that. And sometimes, or I used to believe that peaceful was not caring. But really, when I can see something more for what it is, I think there's more care in it. So I don't think peaceful is empty as I once thought it was. I don't think peaceful is um, peaceful is once I know what it is, then I'm able to sense when I'm not there. And that helps me readjust. And I think like life is the more that we can readjust ourselves to what is, we don't hang on to that garbage. So we're able to take the garbage out more often rather than accumulating it inside of us. Because I don't think that adds to the peaceful.
I like that
Some
very
really,
much.
yeah, some really good points there, Jesse. I agree with Heinz. And everybody's interpretation of peaceful is different. And even like for myself, what I recognize as peaceful at one time, I look back and go, oh, I thought that was peaceful. When I have a new version of peaceful. And I realize that my versions of peaceful have changed, have evolved. At one time, I thought peaceful was just being quiet, like noise quiet.
there's so many different way of being peaceful. You can find it peaceful with a snowstorm because no cars on the road.
Yes.
Peaceful sitting in front of the fire. Mm.
Yes.
I don't think we can say it has anything to do with sound because what's then peaceful to a deaf person?
Good point. Yes.
Ooh, big
I think that was,
gatherings.
I was going to say, Heinz, I think that was probably one of the best statements I've heard with regards to peaceful. It's not necessarily has to be related to sound because a deaf person can't hear. So are they then exempt from peacefulness? Right? Which they're not. You know that.
Oh, put a deaf person in the middle of a crowd and they'll probably think that's pretty not peaceful.
Yes. Yeah.
All the vibrations, that's they may be deaf, but they can't feel the vibrations.
Yes.
A play on words is so much fun here. So I thought you said not a deaf person, but a dead person. So
Oh, goodness.
Oh, a deaf person. You write on the tombstone.
yeah. And when you said it, it's like when you didn't say dead, but I heard dead. What is peace to a dead person because they're dead to us? My mind flipped and said, they're dead to us, but are we dead to them, the ones who we call dead? So my mind just spun off like, when a person dies, they're dead to us, but are we dead to them?
Oh,
So not just had to share that bubble blip and wobble that.
And you probably thought, what the heck is she saying?
So thank you for getting me back in the conversation with deaf, as in not being able to hear. And yeah, I can relate to thinking that peaceful is silence, but peaceful can also be those comfort sounds. Like if you're used to your home, the sounds your home makes. That's comfort, that's home. For some, it could be to have things clean. That's comfortable for them. What I think peace is what gives you comfort, a sense of comfort.
I think you nailed it. A sense of comfort. So it's comfort to your senses.
Mm.
Was that Allison's?
morning, Alison.
Good morning,
morning.
everybody.
Good
What a
morning,
wonderful-
Allison.
What a
Hi,
wonderful
Allison.
conversation. So,
This is
Chantal,
Yes.
with your hearing dead instead of deaf, and how your mind flipped. What came to me was, who is dead to who, and what is dead to who,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
the body.
That too. Because some people can say you're dead to me.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
could tune their senses out about everything about you. And you're not dead. You're looking right at them. You're flesh and blood and breathing. You're looking right at them. But to them, their senses you're dead to me.
Mm. Mm. And one wonders sometimes how true that really is. But I
No,
mean, that's also, you know, it's not really worth, well, no, it's not that it's not worth, but it's not really for us to go and investigate, right?
yeah,
The
but
person says that that's what it is for them, that's what it is for them.
yeah, but when they say that too, like if someone says that to me, it makes you kind of wonder
Yeah,
because at any time I could become undead to them.
yeah,
And if I can do something to make me dead to them, then I must not be dead because they're creating something off of my existence, non-existence to them. They're creating that non-existence
yeah,
or their will not to engage beyond a certain limit, except to not engage.
yeah.
All these talks we're having, they're peaceful to me. It's like campfire talk. Just missing the big fire in the middle, hearing the of the wood cracking.
For me too. Oh, that's my coffee pot making noise. To me, that's
It's
peaceful. That's comfort.
almost the same.
I'll go on mute.
Mm.
So I was also thinking yesterday about my process with packing up, and I've gotten to the point now where there's too little time left to do all the decluttering that I wanted to do, because I just have to pack, because the movers will be here on Wednesday and I've got a lot to do before that. So in the process of clearing, when I could do that, it struck me how some days it was really easy and other days it wasn't. And so, of course, then I started, thinking about the attachments, right? And how I couldn't let go, because the attachment in the object, there were two reasons why I couldn't let go. One was because the object stroked my ego. The other one was because of the aesthetic of it. And so I was thinking again about be to have, as opposed to having to be. So all those concepts that we've worked with have been swirling around in my mind. And as I said, some days I could act according to what I want ultimately, and other days I acted according to what I wanted in the moment. So I've just been giving gratitude for the awareness. And I know when I get to the other side, I'm not going to want to feel the density of too much. So I'm going to have to go back and start the process all over again. Which is okay, as long as I'm ready for the move. You know, we've got a garage there, so I can put stuff in the garage, and then I'm going to have to go through it as much as I can before the winter hits. Because when we go, where we're moving to there's a lot more snow than what we get here in Toronto. It's more like where Annette lives.
Mm.
Annette lives in what we call the snow belt, not so, Annette?
Yes, it is definitely called the snow belt.
Yeah.
I'm resting in your be to have to be. And you know, like I'm too am in this purging pattern. And I seem like I keep getting here. I was in transition to moving to my brother's place to be there with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't take a whole lot of stuff, but I took what I needed, like on the immediate. And then I was going to take time disseminating this place where I am. But because of his health, things have taken a drastic, quick U-turn in a matter of a week, and he's back at the hospital. And so I stayed night before last at his place, but I just felt like there was no need for me to be there. Because you know, if he's not there, that's why I was being there. And because I also need to move from where I am. But I was like, I can't be moving from two places at one time. And it took me like 4 hours to clean up the place and then get my stuff to the door so I could exit. And I said I had everything pretty much essentially what I needed to get from day to day. And it fit in the trunk.
That's amazing, Central.
Yeah, it felt pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still in my trunk and I'm back at this house and I'm looking like, but I need my coffee pot and and I'm glad to have my bed here. And what's that box? I'm re-looking at all of the stuff around me that give me comfort, that is familiar. And I'm like, I gotta get rid of this shit because I gotta move. I gotta still move out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I'm like, dang.
Divided into 3 piles. Yes, maybe, and no.
Yeah, but
That's a really good way of doing it.
And when you go through the maybe pile, then you ask yourself, when did I last use this? Am I gonna use this again?
Yeah, it's the time of engaging in that process. It's a process.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I'm gonna start at the back of the house and work my way to the front. And then I'll go again from the front of the house to the back and sort those things out. But I can see a lot of stuff that I don't need. I can see like cookbooks. I don't cook from cookbooks. They gotta go.
You're better than me. I could not let go.
To me, it sounds like you had a great opportunity of having a grass sale.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make the front of the house. Um, I'm gonna put my artwork in the back in my room, and I'm gonna put everything else in the living room, in the dining room area, and I'm gonna have a garage sale and say anything you see, just offer a price. Curtains, rods, rugs, plates, dishes. If you want it, give me a price.
That's a great idea.
Also a great way of meeting new people.
Yeah. And anything that doesn't go, it gets shipped out to the dump.
Yeah.
Where you can avoid shipping so much out, you can just tell what you call Salvation Army to come pick up the last things they want. Then you have much less you have to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah. And even at the dump, people will pick stuff up from there.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of moving parts to make that happen.
Yeah.
And the things that are difficult for me to get rid of is the pots and pans. But I know I'm gonna have to just take one set and let the rest go. These pot pans have been at least some are 3 generations, some
Mhm.
are 2
Mm.
generations.
That's the best kind of pots and pans.
Yeah, it's like hard to
They
let
have
them go.
they haven't been sprayed with all the new stuff that sort of falls off after a while.
Oh. But as we're purging and as we're letting go, it's still an empowerment move because the release lightens you
Mm.
and you take ownership of being the predominant creative power of your own life.
Mm.
Because the thing does not give me peace. I
Mm.
see peace in the thing. I gave it meaning. I carry the peace. I am peace.
Mm.
And I think for myself, Sidra, what I've also had with this is the opportunity to give thanks to the objects that I do and have had, and the meaning in many of them that was assigned to them when they were given to me, and then to be able to let go and keep the meaning and keep the energy of the intention.
Mhm.
So I've really appreciated the opportunity for that.
That's pure alchemy in one way. A gift you've been given that it passes along. You keep the memory of getting the gift, and then you gift it again.
Yes.
And so you stimulate me to think of how will I perceive and embrace what is now new opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, my intention, and I say my intention because it's from this experience, is that I have more than enough. I have a very abundant world. And so I don't need to have anything more. And what I also noticed was that a lot of what I had somehow was linked to being a mom. And it was often, well, maybe Kalis will want this one day. Or maybe she could need that.
That
And
makes
now,
us hold on to a lot, right?
yeah. And, it's so nice because now she's grown up and I can say to her, do you want this? And I watch her face and I can tell, and I say to her, no, you don't really, you appreciate it, but you don't really want it. Because I don't want her to be lapped up with too much, right?
Right.
And some things I don't even ask her.
Yeah.
Because I know she'll say yes, but she doesn't really need it. And so then I don't even present it.
Because it will just fill up space
Yeah.
for her. And she'll feel obligated to receive.
Yeah. Because, she was how old was she? She was 6.5 when we immigrated. And it was a very, very, very traumatic time for her, as it was for myself, because not just because of the immigration, but because I was so ill.
Right.
And so my tendency, to grasp and hold on, she got influenced by that. And I don't want that for her. So there are all those things involved with it. And I just keep on thinking I'm so blessed that I could do this, that I've got the energy to do it, that my body is, it's like beginning to say, like, can't you stop now? But it's been doing this for a month, full on. And that has been a very satisfying and encouraging experience for me.
So as I've been purging, I did invite my children to come and get whatever they might think they want that means something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my children has always loved this particular painting that my mom had,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like she always wanted me to keep it. And I'm at the point where, you know, I don't need to hold on to it. I'm not taking it wherever I go. And but she's never like really said I'll get it until this last time. And so it must, like it has to, it's like you can't want something for somebody more than they want it for themselves. And it was safe here for her, but she does want to take claim to it. So, I respect that, and she can, come and get it. And that's how I feel about any, I can't hold on to people's stuff for them. And I can't expect people to hold on to my stuff for me. Because it takes up space. A friend of mine said, so-and-so parked their car here and it's been here. It was supposed to be here for like a month and it's been here for over a year. I don't want this thing in my space. So we have to be cognizant of what we allow in our space and stay in our space.
Yeah.
And it's okay to it's okay for me to let stuff go. Like I don't have to hold stuff for other people. It's okay, Cindy, to let stuff go that belongs to others. And so I got this concept. Take a picture of it, send it to them. It's the same thing.
Can the car drive? Is the car working, or did he just put it there because it don't work?
Don't work.
And a year without putting in the time to fix it or get rid of it. That's a long time.
Yeah, but it's not much different than me taking my car to the shop to be worked on. My car wasn't a priority in time wise. And then when it did finally get finished, I had to get it out of there or it was going to charge me, so it was a priority for me not to get storage charges, and to free up, the shop space for other cars. So sometimes we, when there's no charge for something, if it ain't costing you nothing, it ain't no priority.
That's right. I was thinking about that too, Sandrell, in terms of, that I could have been doing what I'm doing in terms of clearing. I could have been doing a lot more. I mean, I did start quite a few years ago, actually, because I found boxes and all. But I've been wondering what's happened to this for ages. Why is it what happened? And then I realized, it started packing things up quite a while ago. But even so, I didn't do it consistently enough for the space that we're going to move into. So that's all been a learning for me, and I'm glad that I can be with it in that way. I think with the two big moves that I've done before, which was moving to Canada, and then 3 weeks before my transplant, we had to leave the house we were in to come to this one. And those were so stressful. They were really stressful. And this has been different. And yet I've realized that I needed the deadline. So I was thinking about how am I going to make use of this going forward. In terms of giving myself a deadline or giving myself a boundary of what does serve me and what doesn't serve me, and what I need to do to keep that boundary. So it's that loop, right, between the experience of what we want, the intention to make that possible, and realizing that in what we want, that most of that is how we want to be. But you need to carry that thread through to the doing, because the doing brings about the expansion, or it brings about the possibility, right, for the expansion. And that brings about the creativity. And the expansion is the creativity.
I'm caught on, you know how something like can come and you're like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
So even right now, to like, I like my food in jars. So like you buy food in jars, and so like then I keep jars. I had to just make myself. I was like, Central, throw the jar away, recycle it, because I'm used to holding on to stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's being aware of that scarcity mindset that can be so subliminally set that you don't want to get rid of anything that you have.
Yeah.
For not having it.
Yeah.
So that's something for me to be. I mean, it just came up, and I'm glad that I was at least aware of it. So I did recycle it.
There you go.
It will be okay. More jars will come when I need them. So we kind of started out today with peace, peaceful, peacefulness. What is peace? How do we experience peace? How do we embrace peace? How do we create peace? How do we do peace? How do we be peace? How do we have peace?
It's the one thing for me. I really feel like if you are not peace, you don't experience the fullness of it. You might experience small bits of it, which is what I guess we do with any experience, right? In the beginning, we have those small bits of it. And then we want more. And then we have to choose how to be. And that means we have to do differently.
I think it's something that we have to allow ourselves to learn. Trial and error, part of the process, and be peaceful with that.
It's interesting, says Cinderella, about that something that we have to learn. And what came to me was this is something that we have to allow, and we have to find a way to accept.
Yes. Yes.
And there's no deadline for accepting. Because you have to be open to it too. But if you're open to allowing, you can test the waters with it.
Yeah.
Then you can choose your kind of peace.
What really irks me is when people say you have to accept this is how it is.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I was thinking also, even in our general musing and conversation, well, in order to have this, you have to this, and you don't have to anything. And have to kind of just like it's like passing a bill and you try to throw something in so that it can be accepted with everything else. But I want to be aware of what I think I have to do in order to have X, Y, Z. And so it's always an option. So I want to be aware of how I'm using the word. Well, you have to be open, right? So I want to replace that with some other words. And maybe you guys can help me with that. Instead of saying you have to be open, maybe I can go with you can allow yourself to be open.
That was a good one.
Because with allowing, you are the one that gauges how much you allow. And somebody says you have to accept it, they're taking your power away as far as what you want to experiment with. to see if it's okay to experience that acceptance by allowing a little bit of it at a time to experience that.
Yeah.
Yes.
When people say have to, it triggers my ego. It's like it's like a command.
Yes. So other people are trying to, yes, command what we are supposed to do with our lives based
Yeah.
on their timelines.
Yeah.
So you want to
And-
fill it out.
And also their perceptions, hey, Niti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just get over it.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big one too. Just get over it. Or get out of your head. It's their perception of something. And it's what they're editing it to be too.
Yeah. For sure.
Lots of contemplation this morning.
Mm.
My hour. I thank you all for your contributions to me today. God bless you all.
You have a
Bless
beautiful
you.
day.
Yes, Cinderella, have a great day.
Thank you.
Annette, it's so nice to have you have the morning with you.
Thank you, Allison. It was enjoyable to come today. As I
Yeah.
said when I came in, I needed a break. And I got it.
Yeah, you've had a very full summer.
Hmm. Yes.
I would say all 4.5 years.
Yes. 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 I was telling the group about across the street, that last house is now having sod put on its front lawn. The
Oh,
the
good.
appliances were moved in early in the week, so the whole construction area will be complete.
Oh,
It's
that's
like I have to wait another day. Oh, but somebody's going to get a new home, and that's wonderful too.
yes.
So, so it is a company who's built the 5 homes there. It isn't private persons who bought the land and built their own house.
It was somebody who, a contractor that um purchased the property, cut all the trees down as the gentleman passed away. And I remember him saying, the kids are small, as long as he's alive, that bush lot will not be sold. So we were very fortunate to have that bush lot there. There's so much nature in that space for my kids to experience. It was sold and then it was divided into lots, and he sold the lots and then constructed the homes for these same people on it. There's things that they could, like the style of the home and all that was consistent. But what was inside they could personalize. So that's how that
Oh,
was done. Yeah.
so it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
He bought it, but he sort of made it personal at the same time. Then it's way more interesting houses for people because they can sort of make it the way they wanted it to be.
Correct. Yes. But very expensive homes, which has raised my taxes as well.
Raised
yeah.
your taxes.
Yes, because I live in the area now that has very expensive homes.
Oh,
No, so our mill rate has gone up for this street
Oh my
because
God.
because of 5 brand new homes.
That's insane.
Well, it's not just my
Yeah.
street, it's that whole block because it's the next street over because they consider you as blocks.
oh my God.
Yeah. Yes, that's been quite a surprise.
So people who's been
Yeah.
living there as long as you have for over 20 years, all of a
Mhm.
sudden there's a big raise in everything because somebody else decides to build something there. You shouldn't pay for
Yeah.
that.
I know.
Well, well, 2 streets over is a new subdivision being put in, and they are lumping them in with us. So those homes are expensive too, because they're just
Oh,
creating these neighborhoods of stuff, and it's just yes, it is unfair. It is unfair. So, very unfair.
There we go, attaching to what is, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
well, I find it unfair they moved away the nature. I love nature. Why move away what 5 great places, great bushes, places for the children to actually be children? And then they complain about children aren't children anymore. Well, because you move all the places they can be children.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, children are just future taxes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And nature does not pay taxes.
Nope, it doesn't.
That's the dilemma.
Yes, and if they can get change the subdivision bylaws from 4 homes to 5 homes, well, they get the extra money on that 5th home.
Mm.
And the incentives, right? The structure of our incentives, our taxes, our whole system, right, has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
So
and
what
then we
new
can.
way can they? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. I was just
I was
thinking about something else.
I was going to say, so then it becomes how creative can they be in creating a new form of way of getting money, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's we gotta start looking at that. Otherwise we just keep regurgitating the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like because the problem is it's never enough and there's always needing more. It's just it's the baked in scarcity model that really makes everyone feel comfortable so they feel that they're at peace in their scarcity just because it's what's known, familiar, comfortable.
Well, there
Mm.
is, I don't know if it's actually gone through, but in Toronto, they had talked about having a rain tax. So based on where you live and the amount of rain that falls and ends up going into the sewer systems, you would be taxed on
Oh my
that.
God.
Yeah, something that Mother Nature does, you're going to be taxed on. But it's because they put everything into drains as opposed to letting stuff soak into the ground because everything's concrete, right? And
That's right.
asphalt. So they have to redirect the water so there's less flooding. But as a result, they're
At
contemplating
the
on a
same
rain
time,
tax.
at the
Wow.
same time, if you put out barrels and collect the water and use that instead to flushing the toilet and washing the clothes, then you get taxed by that.
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're not using their services. That's lost
Exactly.
revenue.
Hmm.
In Denmark, we're only allowed to collect 2 barrels, I think. What is it? What is the big barrels called? Is it 200 100 liters or 250 liters barrels?
Hmm.
After that, you need to pay. It's a law that says that's not legal if you have 3 barrels standing in the backyard. We do get a lot of rain. I saw a family of, what was it, 4 or 5 people. They only used 1.5 liter a week of normal water. They got banned. The law came down on them because they're not making money off it. Well, they're also pushing the boundaries way too much. Just look at what happened at the Independence War with the Boston Tea Party, Texas. And they'd rather throw it out than let them have it.
Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of choices, yeah, that have really been, well, let's kick the problem down the road
Mhm.
because it's more comfortable. And it's like all of that doesn't last forever,
Nope.
one way or the other, like the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party, right? You don't know which one's
Yep.
going to break it.
Nope. And humans are pretty fed up with taxes and everything because they just keep raising them. We had a bridge built in Denmark, and they said by the year, I believe it was 2000, it would be free to travel across it. It still costs money to travel across that bridge. They have so many excuses why it costs money, and it really makes a lot of money because it's connecting the islands. So they're good at breaking promises. And when people say something about it, they'll say, "Oh, it was the last government who promised you that."
Right. 4 years ago, yeah, in our
Yeah,
world.
no, it wasn't. They've got on pension, every one of them you're talking about, so we can't blame anybody.
That's right. And they're not going to vote to take away their money.
No,
That's the one thing they can agree on. I will give them that.
I remember we had some young politicians. They were young when I was young, so or when I was a kid, and they said they were going to change it. But now they've gotten to the age where all the laws that are made in government actually serves them. So why would they change it now? They had a plan when 20 years ago they wanted to do it, but now, no, 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 no. And then we had a holiday that was sort of a king had made. It was made from what 5 half days or so. He just made one holiday that we could get off the whole day. And the last year the government took away that holiday, and all of a sudden they got 5 more holidays within the government instead. Only 2 months after they made sure that all of the Danish people can't have one day off, well, we'll get 5 more days off in there. They're really working for their own best.
Oh, yes. And if we think it's any different and why they're becoming extremely wealthy, on meager salaries, by the way, and I mean meager, 200, whatever, $40,000 is not a meager salary.
But it's on the individual. It's all individuals that have to pay. The smaller fish pay that much larger proportion than what they should. Than what
And
we
it's funny, lots of those in Denmark who are in what do you call it, in the ministry. As soon as their turn is over, they move out of Denmark because they know they have way too much money, so they'll be taxed for it. They know the law, and as soon as the day comes, they stop. They're away, gone. That's not very productive for the Danish state. It's funny the way they are making the laws. It sounds like we are working for them, but it's actually them who are working for us. Same with doctors. Everything is almost government pay in Denmark. And all of those people, we give our power away to them, even though they're working for us. We pay their salary. No taxes, no police. Who's gonna pay them?
I agree, and it's in that like we allow it to a point, right? Like the masses, and we've seen it. History tells us, right, that the people, oppressed people, are very powerful, aligned
Yeah.
together for a purpose, right? And it's like sometimes we need to remember, right, that well, we are the ones that like that. There's power in it as the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's just got to get bad enough.
Yeah, and that's not the right policy. They ought to make it as not easy as possible, but not make it harder than possible also. That's the way they can keep their power. But it's sort of like, nah, I want more for myself as long as I'm here.
Yeah, there used to me what around here in the U.S. it used to be there used to be like a decency to it, like a high, well, almost not like a hiding of it, right? Covering it up in a way. It was probably happening behind the scenes, but maybe not as blatant to me. But anymore, it's like it's pretty obvious, right, where the care is. And it's like not like it is what it is. That's why people work to get into power positions, yeah, to win at the game.
That's why I like in Simpson the movie when he says, "Sir, I think you've gone mad with power." Yeah. Have you ever tried gone mad without it? It's no fun.
They throw you in the loony bin, don't
Yep. And if you're nobody does anything if you have the power. Even though the person without power doing the same thing as the one with power, they'll be put in the loony bin, like you say. When if someone with power decides to just say, well, he's a bit eccentric now.
Words of excuse
Yep.
or words of justification.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm right. I mean, at the core of it, if we really take a look at it, we are Western, where I grow up, right, in North America. It is such a an urge
Squirrel's
to be
nest?
right. Right. It's like
Yes.
it was like I was noticing it last night. It's like I mentioned it earlier on the call. It's like it's like you're either competing, right, like winning, or you're fighting.
Mm.
And it's like really a fight is all about winning anyway. So it's like, well, it's like there's the wife and I were talking, and it's like, well, if you're not competing, then you're fighting.
Mm.
Mm.
It's like those are it's almost as if those are the two modes, right? Operations, ways of being we have.
Mm.
And the labeling they're doing. Many children who are in the middle class, lower class, their diagnosis say ADHD. If you take the higher class, it'll say intuitive children. They won't get the label of ADHD then. It's exactly the same. I've seen a lot of people with ADHD, and I just find them very intuitive. They don't have a focused thought, so what? Something's over there.
right? What's normal? Oh, we say
Yep.
this is. Oh, here, let me, just another tax. Let me give you medicine for your child.
Ooh, oh my God. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Your child needs this.
No, they
And then
don't.
they grow up to be a doped up society on some
Yep.
sort of medication. Everybody then.
Perfect. Right? And then we just hope they pay their taxes. See, that's the dilemma, right? Now they're quiet, but unproductive.
Yeah.
So remember, there was a time where when people had some sort of mental disability, they were put into homes, institutions. They were drugged in those, but they were out of sight and put somewhere else. So what I'm seeing here is it's the same thing that's happening. They're still giving the drugs, but it's far more widespread. Anybody who causes a little bit of outside the box disturbance,
Yep.
we have to drug them because we cannot put them in institutions anymore. And there's so many reasons why people step sideways, why they react, why they behave certain things. And let's just give them a drug, calm them down, as opposed to dealing with what's really
The
there.
choice. Seeing the
Yeah.
choice, seeing it for what it is, knowing that they can change it, right? They have the power to change it if they want to, but no, we'll give you a drug to band-aid it, to cover it up, to suppress it so that it never comes again. And it's like that never works.
Oh, I got a really good story to tell you.
Great.
I was umpiring 3 games on Wednesday, and there was one coach who was not good. He caused a lot of trouble, and yet I had him for 2 games. So on the third game, I was supposed to be the plate umpire. I just came off base. He, during that base game, raced out onto, I made a call. He raced out on the diamond and just started yelling and shouting at me and all that, and claiming that I couldn't see when in fact I'm like 10 feet away from where it happened, and he's more than 90 feet away on a different angle. Anyways, when he went back to his dugout, I probably should have tossed him, but because it was a high school game, I didn't, because that was the second game. And that team had to play the third game. He was the only coach, so which would have forfeited the second game and automatically forfeited the last game. So I didn't want to be the schmuck to do that. Anyways, but that probably would have been the right thing to do. Anyways, when he went back to the dugout, he started talking smack about me and my umpiring abilities. He then went out into the spectator area and talked about my umpiring abilities. So when I had the plate meeting, he was very disrespectful at that point. And I was halfway through talking about what's going to happen in the game at the plate meeting. It doesn't take long. It's just a minute-long meeting. He reached across to shake the other hand of the other coach and turned to walk away while I'm still talking. This is how disrespectful he was. I said, hold on a moment. Get back here. And I said, this is the last opportunity you have to talk to me, because from this point forward, based on your behavior and how you've, my experience in how you've treated me last game and this game already, if you have something to say to me, you're going to send somebody else out on your behalf. And he didn't like that I was taking my power back at that point, because he still wanted to get the last word in. After the game, like he got his word in, he concurred, the game went okay, and I came home, and this is where the change happened. I came home and I'm thinking about, oh crap, this game this game that. And then I thought to myself, what am I looking for? Why am I doing this? And I had that inner conversation is, I'm looking for the drug of feeling sorry for myself. And I couldn't find it. I know what that drug feels like when you feel sorry for yourself and how that feels inside your body, but it wasn't coming. it was kind of there, but it wasn't coming. And I made that realization that that's how I've changed. So yes, people can change. They have that capability. And you don't have to self-medicate with feeling sorry for yourself, because you can deal with things in a different way. But I was looking for that feeling, that old feeling that I used to have, the old pattern.
That's
So
amazing.
that was a win. That was a win. It was an incredible realization to make.
Yes.
Did it affect me? Yes, it did. But it not to the point where I was able to tap into that old drug.
Yeah.
He was acting. It had nothing to do with him. It had something to do with nothing to do with you. It had all to do with him. So it's not your
Absolutely.
problem to take care of.
Yes. Yes.
You just needed
And
to
I,
create a good game for the children.
yeah. And as it turned out, I waited my 24 hours before I put in a report to the convener. In the meantime, my partner had already put a report in too, which I wasn't aware of. He did that after the game, which I wasn't aware of. So, you know, I waited my 24 hours, put in my report, and anyways, so I took my power back, and at the same time, I wasn't, you know, a drug addict on an old pattern of a drug that, you know, of feeling sorry for myself. I thought that was pretty cool. That's my
Okay.
story. That's my story.
So cool.
It's
But you're
taken
not,
all this time, right, to get to this point, years.
That's amazing.
and the difference between you and him was you were there for the children. He was there for winning for his sake, not for the children's sake.
Yes, it was a lot of ego, because it seemed like every third sentence was, I've been involved in baseball for so long. Or something along that line. His always expressing his years of being involved.
You should just have told him there is no I in team.
Yes. Yes. So, anyways,
You're
you're
not,
right.
you're not,
Go
he's
ahead.
not the team. He's just the coach.
Yeah.
Couldn't you actually just have given him the red card and said he was expelled from being on the field in anyway?
Well, like I said, I didn't want to be the schmuck to pull that trigger. If it was a league game, something different, yeah, I probably would have pulled that trigger. But it was a high school game. You know, they paid for a bus. Busing's expensive, and it's like, oh, do I really want to be that person? So,
Yeah.
so I'm letting the school athletics departments deal with that. That is because now they have two reports, and of course they're going to get his version, and I'm sure it's going to be no different than what he expressed everywhere else. So, which is fine. That's how he wants to deal with it. That's his thing. But
So nice to be able to let that go.
and I can talk about it, and it's not triggering me. I'm sitting here, actually standing here, rather peacefully and relaxed. My legs are relaxed, my body's relaxed as I'm talking about it. Like I said, I know.
He saw the
I know.
goal for the children in one way.
Yeah. Well, you know, when between those two games, the players, because they're high school age kids, asked my partner if he could umpire their game instead of me. That's when my partner realized that how much of an influence this coach had, because there was no need for that. And what the sad thing about this whole thing, after the game, somebody like outside of the venue area, somebody that had experienced this as well from a different perspective, said they apologized that, hey, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but the problem here is you showed up as a female to umpire a game.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but I think that has
Very
a part of
possible.
it. Yeah. So
some people see men and women. I see human beings playing a game.
Yes. Yeah.
and it's a game and playing, then it shouldn't be so serious as he's taking it.
Yeah. And you know what? We are human beings out there as officials too.
Yeah.
And some of these coaches or even spectators treat us like we are not human beings, that they have the right to call us absolutely considered verbal abusive words openly, shouting it so the whole world can hear. And we still have to continue to officiate while we're being
Yeah.
dragged through the mud with
God.
verbal abuse from the crowds.
And I thought it was actually illegal to make verbal abuse.
You know, it's interesting how, you know, in society you're not supposed to call people names, right? That's what they say. And
No.
yet society permits it if it's to an adult. They don't like it if you say it to a kid. Those same words you can't say to a kid,
No.
but you can say it to an adult. And that's where society, I think, is so upside down.
It is.
It gets dramatized. It gets, I mean, you watch it on TV, who these idols who get paid all this money, right? Do it.
Yeah.
Where do you think we learn it?
Mm.
Where do we think we learn that that's the right thing to do because my idol does it?
Mm.
And your idol definitely don't have a big ego.
Well, the ones that we pay to listen to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's to your point, Heinz. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we're listening to the wrong people.
Mm.
They only have one perspective, and it's theirs.
And
They're
freedom
right
of
and you're
speech.
wrong.
Yeah. And they'll say, I have my freedom of speech.
Oh. Yep. Now let's take a poll around here and ask everyone around here. Does he have a right to continue?
Yes.
No, I think he should go home and take a value.
But you know, the problem is the one team will agree with him, the other team won't.
Mm.
I mean, that is your role. You'll make one team happy and not the other. I mean, it's just like who does. That's the opportunity. So do better.
Yes. Well, I think in sports, coaches should coach, officials should officiate,
Yes.
And
players should
children should have
play,
fun.
players
Yeah,
should
children should
play,
have fun. Yeah.
and spectators should cheer. They all have their own role, and nobody should cross the line.
Yep. Everyone forgot their role.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it's like that competing, right? And I find it's funny. It's right. Even in the election, right? No
Mhm.
one wants to be on the losing side.
Yeah.
It's like that's
Yes.
more important than who we vote for.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm reminded, it's like, what did they say brought down Rome?
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
And what would that mean? It was like I listened to it as when they gave it all to be entertained,
Mm.
like the theater, right? And the gladiators. And it's like, I mean, that's
Mm.
today's version of it is like, oh, we'll just
Yes.
like that becomes, now I have no idea what it was like, right? But it seems very similar.
Mm.
Now, does that mean like it's distracting a society, right? So that they can't become their genius? I think that is the worst thing that we can do. And I think that is what we are doing.
Mm.
We are drugging the genius. As we talked about, we call it HDHD medicine. We call it prescriptions.
Mm.
We are not allowing making space, creating. So anywhere we're blocking in, locking up, like restricting it, it's like we need to relook at this.
We need to look at it like human beings being, you know. It's like, oh, like you said, Annette, the roles. It's like we've lost touch with our roles.
Mhm.
And rather than that, so we've replaced them with our role models.
Hmm.
So it's not, and that's the worst part. It's not even our thought. So if it's not our thought, then whose thought is it?
And the role model is sometimes the one with the biggest voice.
It usually is. Or I mean, that's the thing is like everyone has their version. That's why it's so spread out.
Mhm.
But I mean, you look at influencers and you've got every type. It's not like I'm talking about all of them, but in a way, I'm talking about all of them.
Yeah, they're gonna lead by example, but they ought to think about what kind of example their leading is.
Mhm.
Is it a good or a bad example?
And as best I can tell, anytime money's involved, you can't.
Mm.
Sorry, currency.
I was just
Or-
thinking that, yes, that, if you took money out of the equation, what would be its replacement? But yes, currency.
I had to get more specific. Thank you. It was like, yes, currency, the
Mhm.
dollars, the exchanging, the
Service for
bartering,
service.
the
Yes.
worth. I mean, it's the worth. As I read on the back of a guy's t-shirt last night, he says, "Don't pay me for my experience, not my time."
Mm.
That's cool. Value me for who I am, not
Mhm.
where I'm at.
Mm.
Just feel those words. Value me where I am, or whatever I said. I lost it. Pretty powerful. See, that's why they don't
Not,
pay me the big bucks.
yeah, and not for my time.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's, I think, part of, students, they come out of university, colleges, and they expect to have the same pay as somebody that's been experienced for 15 or 20 years on a job, even 10 years on a job.
Oh,
They feel,
that happened to me.
yeah,
I'm in the middle
okay,
of that right now.
yeah, no
I'm
experience,
I'm
just
that
accept
guy.
schooling. You were
I'm that
that guy.
I'm
Yeah,
the guy that's getting paid the same as the guy coming right out of school.
yeah. And yet the experience that you have is so much more valuable
Well,
because it's what makes you efficient later on in a job that or task that you have to do.
I, I'm learning to love something for not the money.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, because that it's what I couldn't ever allow. We have to allow.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I just don't know how it's gonna like. I don't know how it shows up, but like I'm in it showing up.
Many places do value the experience because I've heard about someone coming to an oil rig, working half an hour, and got $20,000 for his work. And to start with, they were complaining a bit, but then he just said, "Well, you could have 10 people here looking for that problem, and it would probably have taken them 3 or 5 days to realize where
Mm.
it's at. Where me,
Mm.
with my experience, I could do it in half an hour.
Exactly.
Imagine how much you had to pay for 10 people then."
Yeah.
In Heinz, what they say is they say, "No, you can't." That's why, right? And that's why it's like, no, you can't. And so then you have to do it, right? You have to do it. And yes, we have to, right? But give them the option to show you rather than telling them, like, no, they can't. That's what I
Mm.
mean by notice our no's, like where we shut things down.
I remember my father really valued people. He had a auto firm, so he valued when people could just listen to the engine and know what was wrong, so they knew exactly where to search for the problem instead of having to go through everything.
Because they're using their senses.
Yeah.
And as a baker / pastry chef, when I was working doing all that stuff, I actually same thing. I would listen to the machine running, like the mix machines, and I could tell when the sound changed on the product or the machine, on the work of the machine, that my product has changed in its consistency or was at a certain stage that I'm looking for.
Oh.
That's yes.
And we didn't know
Try-
that when we got so very educated. It takes time to learn that sound.
Right. It's the greatest space between the doing and being.
Oh.
We call it flow. It's like it's that merging of the experience, the senses, and the outcomes. It's like only in that moment is it predictable.
I saw MasterChef once, one who got really far. I think she was from India and lived in Denmark, but she never ever tasted the food. She did it with only smell. The chefs were so amazed, but she has been doing that for 25 years in the kitchen at home, and she was always the last person to get food. So it was sort of in her religion not to taste the food. She wasn't allowed. So she had heightened her sense of smell to know exactly what it would taste like when it smelled like that.
Yep.
It's like to me, it's a wonderful blend of mastery between being and doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like and that I was just triggered to be like, oh, listen to you speak about the being where you spoke. It's like, oh, I'm peaceful. I can just feel it. You were talking about the I hear your toy and it sure sounds like he's farting.
Yes.
I thought it was a
Love
duck.
it. It's like gotta be a duck.
It's a dog. It's like a little pig, and she keeps bringing it
Oh,
to me
yeah.
because she wants me to throw it.
Yeah. It's like a pig. I got the pig now. Yeah.
I thought it was a
dollar
duck.
store pig.
It sounded like a duck.
Yeah, I guess if they molded it into a duck, it would be a duck then, but it's a pig with a duck sound. So she's underneath the ottoman now because I threw it and it bounced under the ottoman. So she's half under the ottoman, chewing on this thing now.
Lily.
And it's like I try. It's like it's so hard to separate your being and your doing. It's like being is like, for me, how I see it is being is the energy that creates the doing. And then the doing creates the having. Like to me, that is a flow. And that's like the flow of mastery. Right. And like we could get tied up or attacked to the word mastery, but it's like masters had to go through and learn it to become a master.
Yeah.
And it's like in mastery, it's like a flow and we can respect it. It's like it just happens, right? It's like, oh, really? It's like we're all trying to get to that point in our lives anyway, no matter what it is. And we are wherever we are. And that is probably the best way we could be that would shape all of our doing to have what we want.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like like we were starting, it's like our starting position is like, I've got to do this. And it's like I listened to the other coach and it's like, what does he got to do? Oh, he's got to be right. Be right. See the be right. And it's like, oh, that's the first thing that I see. Rather, I don't see like what he did, what he does, what he's doing. Right? You were at peace with him, allowing, and you weren't taking it personal. Oh, that's so easy. That's so simple. It is not easy. And you only see the progress in the moments of heat. Your energy.
Mhm.
Everything else is comfortable, right? And especially over here in the West, we get a little worried if we're, if I didn't get enough food for the price, right? Because I eat 3, 4, or any time that I want, and there's other people, other beings that can't. Well, it's like, and that's the point of like, I think as we worked peaceful, and it was like, I look at it as like peaceful is looking at it as it is, just what is it? Like that opens the greatest peace for me.
Mm.
It was back to Allison's word, not today, but just in general, is like the importance of awareness. It's like, yeah, what's most importantly I'm aware of? My attachments.
Mm.
And
Mm.
my attachments are hanging on what is. So really my role becomes the decipherer of what is. Huh. Knowing that I was conditioned with that my wounding, my sabotaging identities are all around. They're baked into what is how I see it. I just get to unravel it now. And the best way I found it is like, what is and what am I attached to?
Mm.
And then Annette, you can look back and say, wow, I handled that
Mm.
really well.
Yes,
Well, and it's like every way you would have handled it would have been right, right?
correct. Because every way would have been comfortable um, for whatever stage of working through things I was in.
Mm.
But I was no longer in that stage of needing that feeling of feeling sorry for myself. So now for me, it's like,
A wounding identity.
yeah. So for me, now it's exciting. It's like, okay, when am I going to go look for it again? What situation is going to arise that I go look
Mhm.
for it again? Will it happen
Mhm.
again? Or will I get that feeling of feeling sorry for myself, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because it doesn't feel good. You don't want that.
No, I
It
know
doesn't do anything for you.
it's very heavy on the system. That's the one thing that I realized at that moment, because like I said, you know what it feels like when you feel sorry for yourself and you're trying to feel it and you can't. You have that contrast of, I want to feel like this, but I'm not getting there. And that's when you realize how heavy that was, especially like for me, right through from the collarbone right down the center of my chest towards my stomach. That was what I was looking for, that feeling of heaviness there. It wasn't there. It wasn't coming.
Ooh.
So, and of course, the part in the brain, because it also affects the brain and all that. But it's like, no.
Ooh.
So for me, that's proof people can change.
It's a rewiring that took place.
Yes. Yes.
It's amazing what the body can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget about that so often because I kind of presume that it's static. Because I've had one experience and I think that, well, it's going to continue just to go back to that experience.
Mm.
This has been a great morning.
Yep.
Yes, it has.
I'm gonna go. I
Thank you,
got
everybody.
lots to do today. Have a great weekend. And
You all have a blessed day.
Jesse, you have a birthday coming up really soon, if not already. Yes, end of September-ish.
First
Or
part,
beginning of
first part of
first-
October. Yeah. So
okay.
a week from Saturday. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So if I don't see you, then
Yeah.
in the meantime,
Yeah. Thank you.
have a wonderful birthday.
Thank you so much, Annette. Thanks for coming by. It's been great working with you this morning.
Take care.
All right.
Bye, Annette.
Bye all.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's 20 past. I didn't realize. I better go as well, guys.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Allison.
much. It was very nice. I really, really needed this, and it was wonderful.
All right. Yes. Thank you,
Speak soon.
Heinz.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys-
You all have a pleasant day. Love and
Thank you.
hugs.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.